Before Jack Sparrow or the Pirates of the Caribbean films, there was Edward Scissorhands. Actually, no, there were many, many others. But Johnny Depp's big break prior to Pirates of the Caribbean was Edward Scissorhands. His first leading role in a movie was Crybaby, and his feature film debut was Nightmare on Elm Street 6.5 years earlier. In my previous video, I say that the songs are 50s themed. No, they're not just 50s themed. They're actually covers of legit 50s songs. But remember, they're lip syncing, not actually singing. Johnny Depp didn't really show the world his singing voice until Sweeney Todd came out 17 years later in 2007. Well, that same year, Crybaby the movie was adapted into the musical for the live stage, the live theater. And then a year later, 2008, Broadway. So, fact, Crybaby started off as a musical movie and then later adapted as a Broadway production. In my previous video, I also mentioned how I say this is basically a spoof on Grease. The reason why I say that is because it follows pretty much a similar plot like Grease. Good girl, bad boy, they fall in love. They pursue a relationship. Her parents disapprove. Good girl gone bad. The only difference that I see is all the songs are covers in the Crybaby, and it's not as realistic as Grease. Grease was more realistic and convincing. Crybaby was more of a live-action cartoon / long, epic episode of Saturday Night Live. And yes, like I said before in my previous video, this is like an epic SNL episode. I'm going to give you a little bit of examples of how they acted. You know, in films like Grease, they would have acted like, oh, hey, what's going on? Like, oh, I don't know. Like, you know, long time no see. You know, convincing. Grease's acting was very convincing, whereas Crybaby was like a Saturday Night Live sketch where the acting was like, wow, Mom, I didn't know you got me this motorcycle. Like, Johnny Depp's like, thank you guys so much. Now, I'm the most happiest juvenile delinquent in all of Baltimore. That's the difference that I see between this and Grease. And that's why I say it's a spoof. There's a lot of things in this movie that they're going to make you go, oh, come on, really? There's a scene, and I'm not going to spoil much of it, but there is a scene involving a helicopter. And that just made me go, oh, really? Come on. That wouldn't happen in real life. That wouldn't happen in the 50s, and that probably wouldn't happen now. Of course, aside from the helicopter scene, there's also a good amount of time in the movie when Johnny Depp's character Wade Walker, aka Crybaby, is in prison or juvenile hall. That is where we see Johnny reunite with Willem Dafoe, who plays the main guard of the juvenile hall. And like I said, the two were previously in Platoon 4.5 years earlier. Yes, in the prison scenes, there are scenes where Johnny and the gang are dancing, and there are scenes when they're singing. Yeah, it's a musical, but it also will make the audience laugh because they're like, that's not gonna happen in real life prison. Or, you know, it's the whole part of, to me, what I find funny throughout the entire film was how unrealistic scenes are. And it's the unrealism that I found humorous. The cinematography was great. Okay, look, when it comes to cinematography and costumes, especially for Greaser-themed films, I'm just like, whatever. Not in a bad way, but in a good way, because I know that everyone likes to work really hard on capturing everything that was all things 1950s, mid-50s, late 50s. But what really impresses me, the choreography, the dancing, and the music choices. That I'm really impressed, and the writing. John Waters wrote and directed Crybaby, grew up in Baltimore around the time this film takes place. So, I'm not 100% sure, but he might have written some of the things he experienced at that time. I actually want to own this one, and I'm going to rate it 10 out of 10 film cameras. So, if you can't find your local library with it, if your library doesn't have it, your local library doesn't have Crybaby, rent it off of iTunes. It still is there on iTunes right now.